Right, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tommy Reynolds, and I'm a portrait photographer based in Southeast England in Kent. And today we're going to be learning more about cinematic portrait photography. Now, it can be very intimidating if you're not used to using multiple lights on set. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with one light, build up to two, and then to three. And to show you that it's not as scary as you think using multiple lights. We're going to use an array of different modifiers, some of my favorite modifiers. This is a brand new 70 centimeter Flatpak softbox that's only just come out. We're going to be using that one. We're also going to be using this very unique flash that's attached to my hip. You might have seen this if you're a follower of my YouTube channel. You might have seen that I like to use ring flashes quite a lot. We're going to show you how this works and what kind of effect it creates. It creates quite a very painterly quality to the images. But we're going to get there. We're going to build it up first. We're going to start with one light, build to two, then to three. If you are wondering, this is an attachment to the ever-famous Pica 200. That's actually attached to my hip right here. So it's much lighter than the Ricoh 400, the older ring flash that I was using a lot before. So this makes it a lot more lighter because now the battery is now sitting on my hip. And you're welcome at the end to come and have a play with it and try it for yourself. So I'm just going to put this back on my hip. Very kindly, Peak Design have sent me loaned me a clip from over there so I can do this and like move around lights and everything here. I want to show you actually real quick before I start the new Flatpaks because, sorry, Nicky. I want to show you the new Flatpak. So this is how easy it packs away. That's it, done, and it goes straight into a bag. And you might think, well, okay, well, how quick does it go up? Done. Very easy. They have an easy open softbox range, and this just got a whole lot easier. So I'm definitely going to be taking this on shoots, especially at weddings. Very useful if you're doing events and time is of the essence. So we're going to pop that back on. The City 600 Pro, which is what I'm using today as my key light. I like the 600 because obviously it's nice and powerful, but it also has a fantastic modeling light. It's very powerful, especially when you're using stuff like an Optical Snoot, which we're going to use later for when you really need to see that narrow beam. So, right, let's start with one light first. Let's get a shot on screen. Now, if you want to know a good starting point for your softbox, for your key light, what I tend to do when I start off is I go to the model's eye line, and what I want to try and look for is I want to aim so that the bottom of my softbox is meeting my model's eye line. In this case, we've got Nicky helping us out today. You can shoot Nicky again at the end. He can share his Instagram. It's Nicky. It's the NP at Mr. NPR. If you want to check him out later. So for a good starting point, I'm going to go to Nicky's eye line, and I want to meet it so that the bottom of this softbox is meeting his eye line. That, for me, is a nice, good starting point. A good sweet spot for the catch light in the eye, which we'll see in a moment. But let's get a shot on screen. I'm going to unattach this Peak Design clip. Make sure the tether's working. It's my last demo of the day, so let's fingers crossed nothing goes wrong. I am using a grid on the front. There are two diffusion panels inside, but I am using the grid just to channel that light even more forward. I'm at a roughly 45-degree angle. I do have my light meter. It is somewhere, but most of us don't have a light meter, so we're just going to figure it out. This is the real world, so let's see what we get. I'm at 1/8 power at f7.1, 1/160th of a second at ISO 100. But before I do take a shot with flash, I just want to make sure first that none of this ambient is affecting my exposure. So I'm just going to take a test shot, Nicky, and see how we get on here. Make sure that's going in. OK, so that's more or less dark. So I know now that any shot I take from now on, it's only going to really be influenced by my flashes. So as you can see, I've got multiple flashes already ready to go, but I'm not going to switch them on yet. I'm going to walk you through it. We're going to start with our key light first. Nothing else is going to flash. We're going to build it up. All right, let's start with our first light. OK, Nicky, hold that there. Perfect. OK, we'll just check that. OK, so that's our first light. That's one light. That's a 70 centimeter. And if I zoom in to Nicky's eye, we just see it creeping in. The catch light's just starting to creep in. I'm going to ask Nicky to raise his chin just a touch more because I want to see a little bit more of that catch light. But I don't want to lower the light because it's at a good height. Any lower and it might feel a little bit more artificial. We want it to make this look as real as possible, as motivated as possible. Okay, that's looking a lot better. Now the catch light is a lot more brighter. It's a lot more apparent in the eye. It's kind of a half-moon cookie. So that is my sweet spot. That's what I'm looking for with my main light, with my key light. All right. But you can do quite a lot with only one light, especially when it's gridded like this. If you want to create more contrast to the image without changing the light, all you need to physically do is move yourself a few steps either left or right. So if we were straight on here, if I take one step to my right and take the same shot, we're going to introduce more contrast into the image without changing anything up here. So let's take another shot here, Nicky towards me. That's it, hold that. Right, we compare that with this next shot. Okay, now Nicky looks a little bit more side lit, a little bit more contrast. If I come back to the center, take the same again. Now I take another step left, and this should now be even less contrast than before. So you can see all I've done is just taken a step left. It could look as if I've taken the grid off, but I haven't. I've literally just moved one step. So a nice little tip when you are working with only one light. You might not necessarily need to change the light. All you need to do is just take a step left or right. Equally, you can stand still and you can just ask your model just to look this way. So if you look this way, Nicky, and if you're looking towards here, that's it. Now looking directly center onto me, that's it. Now looking over here this way. So this time, I've stayed still, and all that's changed is Nicky's head's position. So if we compare those three shots, we've got lots of contrast there, not as much, and even less. You can see the shape of the face just really helps kind of define those shadows. So depending on what you want, again, all you might need to do is just ask the model just to change their face, as in direction, as in the direction. Oh no, sorry, man. Okay, so that's one light. That's our first light. Let's start introducing a second light now. So what we're going to do is we're going to introduce our background light. Now what I've done is I've placed it in such a way where it's going to hit the background as well as Nicky's shoulder. So it's going to kind of do two jobs for us. It's going to be a rim light, and it's also going to spray across the background as well. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the key light, and I'm going to turn on the background light. And this is a good way of practice. You build it up one light at a time to make sure you're happy. Don't turn on all the lights at the same time. Build it up slowly. I even do this now so that you know exactly what the light is doing. Each light has its own job. So let's turn B on. All right, I'm on the lowest power for that because there's no real modification on the front of it, so I assume this isn't going to need a ton of power. So let's do the same again, Nicky. Hold that. Lovely. Okay, cool. So, all right, we can see that it's spraying across. We're getting a bit of rim, and it's hitting the background as well. I'm happy with that. So now let's turn our key light back on, and we'll put those two together. Let's see what that looks like. Same again, Nicky. If you actually bring yourself back up, that's it. If you mess around with with your shirt, that's it. That's it. That's it. Great. Oops, that didn't switch on. Switch that back. All right, the power's changed. Let me just figure out my key light again. Let me just lift your head back up again for me, Nicky. That's it. Okay. And then your head tilted this way. That's it. Okay, I think we're back where we were now. All right, so if we compare that when we just had our key light only. All right, so we can see there by introducing our rim/background light, it can do two different jobs. But if you want a little bit more control, then I would suggest using a grid in the front of your standard reflector. So again, I'm going to use this and put this in front of the standard reflector, and this time it's just going to have one job. And I'm more of a fan of background lights versus rim lights. So this is only going to have one job, and it's only going to hit the background. But because there's a grid on it, it's only going to hit the grid and nothing else. It's going to shoot past Nicky's shoulder, and it's not going to get that. So I'm going to aim it at the background. Now, because it has modification on it, I'm going to need to probably turn that power up a little bit more. But again, how much by? Who knows? Let's just figure this out. This is the real world. I'm going to turn my key light off so that I, again, just have my background light. And let's go portrait for a change. Hold that, Nicky. That's great. Okay, that's going to need a lot more power than that. All right. That's great, Nicky. Hold that. Boom. Okay, I'm going to turn that up a little bit more. That's it, same again, Nicky. That's great. Cool. I did this earlier, and what was the joke I made? It looks like I haven't unlocked him yet on my PlayStation game. It looks like it's yet to be unlocked. Okay, so I'm happy with that. I'm now going to turn my key light back on, and again, we're going to put that all together. Same again. That's it. Hold that, Nicky. Okay, nice. So that's adding some nice depth. I think I prefer that. I prefer that it's only hitting the background, and we're still getting the shadow on the unlit side of the face. And then it's adding more contrast, actually, by having the dark unlit side of the face with the brighter background. It's adding that nice bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn our ring flash back on. We're going to turn it on for the first time, and we're going to see what the effect actually creates. So we can see we're still getting a lot of shadows. I'm actually going to move this even closer, the key light closer, because I want to create even more contrast, because this will really show off the ring flash more so. If I can get this closer, I know, you see, I'll put it down that time. All right, I've moved it a little closer, so that's going to mean that I'm going to need to turn down the power slightly of my key light. So I've just turned that down. I'm going to do a quick test. Okay, cool, that's good. All right, so you can see we're getting a lot of darkness around here. So I want to turn the ring flash on, and this is going to be my fill light. This is the ultimate fill light. If I switch again to a random power, so we're getting a lot of dark shadow, especially towards his knees. We're not really seeing a lot of detail there, so this is where the ring flash is going to come in. I'm going to pick a random power. Let's try 1/8 power and see how we get on there. It might be too bright, might be too dark, but let's have a go. Okay, for me, that's a little bit too bright, so I'm going to dial it down a bit, because I like to use this very subtly, in a much more subtle way than that. Okay, we're starting to creep in a little bit more of those shadows. It's a little bit better on my screen, but for the benefit of you, I'm going to just turn that up a little bit, just so I get a happy medium there. All right, so we start to introduce some of those shadows back into the shot. And this is great, because if you have no detail in that shot, it's going to be very hard for you to try and get detail back in later. This is kind of your get out of jail free card, because it gives you that wiggle room with the blacks or the shadow slider in Lightroom. You can take away detail. If it was too much, you can take away some of that detail, but you can't obviously add that back in once it's there. So that's why having a ring flash gives you that little bit of flexibility and adds a little bit more of a painterly quality to the image. All right, so I'm going to change up the modifier now. I'm going to clip this back on, and I'm going to change up from the 70 centimeter, and we're going to go even more contrasted and controlled with a optical snoot. So I'm going to take this off, and we've got the optical snoot here. If you've never heard of the optical snoot, it's like a traditional concave snoot, except there's a lens on the front, hence why it's an optical snoot. And the benefit of that is I can turn the focus wheel on the end of this modifier, and I can make those shadows really harsh and really controlled. With the inclusion of gobos as well, go-betweens, I can add in this tiny little slit of light, and with the combination of that lens in front, I can make that line really harsh and controlled. When I used to do this before, owning an optical snoot, I would use put a bare bulb light with some cardboard boxes with a slit, and then I'd have to put apple boxes in front of that just to create this one slit of light. I can now do this with just this simple modifier. Definitely one of my favorite tools to use. So let's get this one all set up. All right. So this is where it's very handy having the City 600 in particular, because it has a really nice modeling light. Even at the NEC, with all the ambient light in here, it's good that we can see exactly where those shadows are going to fall. If you've got a speed light, you're obviously, well, most speed lights don't have a modeling light, so it's going to be very difficult using the optical snoot in particular. But having the City 600 is really great, because I can see exactly where those shadows are going to fall. And you can turn it to get anything you want. I'm going to just put it on the next setting so that I can change up the angle here. Actually, no, that's going to be closer to where I want it. Okay, so we're going to get a strip of light going across. So I don't know if you can see this. If I turn the lens, you can see that it goes from a very hard light, and if I turn it, it then defocuses. And this is down to your personal opinion. You might not want it too kind of harsh and really defined. That's the beauty of this optical snoot. But for the benefit of us, I'm going to put it onto at its harshest, if you like, so that we can really see the benefit of this modifier. Now I'm going to turn off my other lights again. We're going to start again, build it up from 1 light up to 2 and to 3, just to show you exactly what this optical snoot is doing on its own. All right. That's cool, Nicky, about there for me. So I'm going to turn off my other lights. I'm going to pick a random power that I'm going to guess it's going to be. The optic on the front of the snoot, by the way, is the equivalent of a 50 mil. You can change it to an 85 if you want. At the moment, I've got a 50 mil. Obviously, with an 85, it's going to be even more narrower, or you could just push it in. All right, let's see what we get with just our optical snoot. All right, I'm going to turn that power up a little more, some. Okay, so you can see it's very harsh, very controlled. I'm going to dial it up even more, actually, just for the benefit of you guys at the back. Okay, yeah, much more obvious. Okay, so you can see how very hard that line is. If I now turn that dial, and take the same again, we can now compare, and it will be slightly defocus that line. Okay, slightly defocus, and this is again personal preference, how you want. It's totally up to you. But I kind of like that. I kind of like that it's a little bit off focus. So I'm going to roll with that. It's not as obvious and in your face what's happening. Now again, I need to build this up. We have far less detail on Nicky's body now because it's so defined. So I'm going to turn on my ring flash back on, and we're going to get the same again. Okay. Same again, Nicky. That's it. Now looking towards me. That's it. And, oh, we're missing you. So this is the only thing with the optical snoot. It is it's so defined. You have to be really careful where you place your model. That's it. Let's try that again, Nicky. That was my fault. Now just your eyes towards me. That's it. And same again. Okay, yeah, so now we can slowly see some of that detail. Again, it looks a little bit better on my laptop, but the point is it's very subtle. It's a very subtle feel. It doesn't look as if maybe there's a second light involved, but there is. And if I do need to dial that back, I can. I think for the benefit of you guys, I'm going to turn it up just a little bit more. Okay, same again, Nicky. Looking towards me. That's it. Okay, yeah, that looks a little bit more obvious now. So now we can see that detail. Let's now introduce our third light again. We're going to turn on B. That was our background light because we're not really seeing any detail on the background, so we're going to introduce that again. Same again, Nicky. That's it. Okay, and then this is us slowly bringing it all together. I'm actually going to turn down that ring flash. Now I've introduced that. It's been a little bit of bounce. So. Okay, yeah, okay, that's looking nice. Let me actually get a little closer. As I move closer, I'm going to turn down the power of the ring flash, because obviously as I'm moving closer, that's going to look brighter, so I'm going to turn it down. Okay. Oh, just turn on the modeling light. Losing. Oh, is it? No, all good, man, all good. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, man. Okay, right, but looking towards me, Nicky. That's it. Okay, lovely. Really, really nice. So we see that little bit of detail in the background from the background light. We've got our key light coming in from the optical snoot and a little bit of detail being pulled up from the ring flash. Let's try introducing this table. So Dom, if it's okay, can I ask for your assistance, please? We're going to move this table in front just to add a little bit more dynamic, something else a little bit different. Yep. If we lift it from the light stand. Actually, let's, yeah, if I come this way, we squeeze it in here. This is going to be a tether nightmare. Okay. All right. It's all good. It's all good. Okay. Yeah. Good. These are retractable light stands, by the way, from PiXAPRO that you can buy here. any equipment that I'm using, barring the table, any equipment I am using on this demo here, we've got leaflets right at the front. Anything I'm using, even down to the stands or the Optical Snoot, you can find leaflets here. Dom's also got them there if you want to go and see her as well. Okay, now we've got something else in front of us. We've got a bit of depth. We've got this table that I brought from home, so I'm definitely going to use it. So it's a little bit wobbly, Nicky, so if you could do your best to pretend to lean without actually leaning, otherwise it probably will fall. You probably will fall over it. So I'm going to bring this back a little bit. Actually, let's change it up. Dom, have we got those gobos there? Let's change it up. I've not done this yet. I'm going to change up the gobo. So we're going to go from the slit. Let's try something else. Let's try this guy. This is a box. It looks like a window pane. So I'll give you that one, Dom. And let's put that in. So this is going to create a window effect. Not tried it yet. Let's give it a go. What can go wrong? Okay. That'll be it. Okay. Cool. We can roughly see what effect we're going to get. Let's take a test shot, see what happens. What can go wrong? Right. I'm going to turn off the other lights so that we're only getting the optical snoot. Okay, bring your arm in more. That's it. Yes, it. Yeah, yeah. All right. Let's see what's cooking. Okay, right, the background light went off. 2 seconds, let's turn that off. Okay, same again. All right, wait for that to fire up. So we can see it almost looks like it's a window light, but we're now going to combine everything because we're not getting that much detail. We're not even seeing the table. So again, that's what the R200 is going to do. It's going to lift up those shadows. And we're going to do the same again. That's it. Hold that. Lovely. I'm going to increase it a little bit more. That's great, Nicky. Okay, getting a little bit of the set around the edge, but that's okay. We all know we can easily crop that out. Now I'm going to turn the background light on to finish it all together. Let's actually go portrait ways. Bring that arm a little bit in. That's it. And then chin up a little. That's it. Hold that. And just keep fidgeting. That's your key word. Every time you hear the click, just change that up for me. Eyes to, that's better. There we go. Now we're cooking. There you go, Nicky. That's it. Hold that. Bring that right arm in. That's it. There we go. Straight on. Okay. Hold that. Cool. And then back to me. Hold that. And one more. That's it. Cool. Okay, and relax. All right. So I hope you can see the amount of playroom you can have with the R200, with the ring flash. If you don't have a ring flash and you want to try and create something similar, then just simply put in a softbox behind you, directly behind you, on the same axis as the camera. Then you're going to create something similar. But what is unique about the R200 is because it's on camera axis, because of the size of it, it's going to give your fill light a little bit more specularity. So if you have a model, maybe say with a shiny dress, this is really going to make that dress pop. But as I say, if you want to learn any more about any of the products we have on this demo, or even over here, guys, go and see the sales guys. And if you have any questions, then do come and see me or Dom. We've got leaflets at the front. But I hope you've enjoyed your time at the show. Only a couple more hours to go, but thanks ever so much for listening, and I'll speak to you again soon. Take care. Cheers.